Hello and welcome to the Inverted Castle, a podcast about Metroidvania games. I'm a Pinkerton, Thomas Blight, here to beat the crap out of Eric Fox, who is a proud union man.
Listen, Corpo Scum, I will die before I work without equal rights and pay.
And we're talking about Rebel Transmute, which has unionization content, strangely enough. Not really about it. I don't know, it's definitely there, and the evil corporation that I am surprised is not called Wayland Yutani, or any variation of that, is definitely suppressing the Union.
Yeah, this is definitely a story wherein subtext is for cowards, and they will have the main character barrel the camera and say, support your local union. The corporation will kill you and profit from it.
Yes.
But in addition to that, there's also a fun little space Metroidvania adventure happening.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, Rebel Transmute, I would say, is closer to the Metroid side of things.
Yeah, it's sci-fi.
With some of the, Souls-like... I don't know, it's got some Hollow Knight influence, I think.
That's what's probably most apparent out the gate once you start actually playing it. There are a lot of concepts that you can either say borrow, ripped off, depending on how you feel about the game in general, but I personally fell on the side of liking it. This game actually is a very recent release, Hollow Knight was ages ago now, and this one came out in 2024 by Evan Liebman, I believe, is the main creator.
Yes, he also goes by Evan Tor Games.
Evan Tor Games, and published by Jandasoft.
Yeah, although the only things he's put out other than this is Ludlum Dare Games. So that's short little competition.
I've never heard that pronounced out loud.
I don't know how to say it. I definitely added some letters in there. It's Ludum Dare? Ludum Dare?
In my mind, it was always Ludum Dare.
Maybe it is Ludum Dare. I don't know.
Like Dare to Game? I don't know. But how did you find this game overall in terms of both being a good game and being a referential game?
I had an alright time with it. I don't know that overall it is going to be that high on my list.
I'm very glad to hear you say that, because I am the exact opposite. This is a top 10 game out the gate. This is a game that is very frustrating, in parentheses positive. I don't know. I went into the game really not knowing what to expect, and only hearing that, it's really reminiscent of Hollow Knight. Yeah, cool. They took some good things. They did some other things that we'll get into, that are, I think, unique enough. But actually playing it and being able to get into trouble the way this game allows you to do, really sunk my teeth into it. But we should probably set up what it actually is. So if you want to take it away.
Yeah, so the plot of the game basically is you are Moon. You are looking into what has happened to your mom, Wendy, a surprisingly basic name. Given the rest of the characters.
Yeah. It was really Goku's dad, Dave situation.
Yeah. She took a job with the evil corporation. It's never quite clear why she felt she had to. I don't know. They're definitely like, I took it because I loved you. And it was like, were they hard up for money or something that meant that they had to do this? I don't know. It was not clear.
It's one of the things that wasn't fully explained in the text, but it's easy to kind of assume that she'd been working there for Moon's childhood, and there's no other parent in the picture, so there's that. But a part of the game, a reveal later on at the very least, is that Wendy only cares about her daughter, and so she doesn't. She'll work for the evil corporation to support her, whereas Moon resents her for that because she cares about people in general and for the greater good and for people she doesn't know. And that was a point that Wendy was envious of.
Yeah. So get out your bingo card, because on approach to the planet where Wendy was last seen, Moon's ship goes awry and she crash lands on a hostile alien planet with abandoned ruins. We got it all.
Yeah, it's not a once great civilization so much as a laboratory slash testing grounds for a corporation. So Environmental Station Alpha more than, I don't know, Blasphemous, Haiku, the last bunch that we've played.
Yeah, it's the remnants of an attempt to terraform.
Indeed.
Instead of actually becoming a great civilization. It never quite got there.
Yeah, and explicitly, the whole situation that happened there was blamed on the Union by the evil corpo scum that is Foray Incorporated, I believe.
Yep.
Yeah, those bastards. There is no subtlety to how the game and the main character Moon feels about basically capitalism in general.
Yeah.
And especially in this case. But yeah, so she's here for her mom, but unfortunately crash lands and is in stasis for 12 years.
Yeah. I feel like this game, I don't know, could have had a discussion on ethical consumption under capitalism, and it wouldn't have been strange. But they didn't go there. Yeah. That was a strange choice to me. The immediate crash land, time skip 12 years.
Yeah, it really is hard to like orient yourself to embodying Moon.
Yeah.
I guess.
I also don't I can't remember anything in the plot that would make that 12-year span significant. It's just kind of a random number.
It's an arbitrarily large number.
Yeah.
Like it could have easily been 5, 20. Like I think it's just kind of a setup for a reveal later.
But they did choose a not completely round number.
It makes it more believable. But also in a way that's like, at the very least, at the back of my mind was, is that fake? Like the robot AI Dr. Inara, I believe, who put you in stasis and is asking for your help here to, figure out what's going on, get some stuff for her, and then maybe she'll help you find your mom. Maybe she doesn't have your best interests in mind. Maybe she lied about the amount of time. In the end, I don't think she did, but there are other things she was up to.
Yeah. Interestingly, I got the impression initially that it was going to be much more the planet is sinister than it ended up being. Especially at some point, Moon just tells an NPC, is like, oh yeah, I just woke up with this injector in my exosuit and I've just been mainlining mysterious planet drugs.
Called Spark Blood.
Yeah.
It's this blue goo that basically every creature, like flora, fauna, a lot of the machines just kind of use as their generic phazon / super fuel MacGuffin device.
I don't know. I thought it was going that way, and then it didn't really go that way, and I'm not sure if I just missed an opportunity to continue a plotline, or that plotline did just fizzle out.
Maybe. I don't think there's I don't think the planet is explicitly evil. I do think it definitely revolted or / rebelled against the corporation that was trying to essentially, terraform it, mine it, extract all the resources from it.
Fair.
There's definitely the local population kind of rising up against the corporate invaders.
Yeah.
But I don't think they were explicitly evil. I don't think the planet was evil. This is very clearly the corporate interests causing all of the problems.
Fair. I'm just a little surprised that there's also not the life stream. Because this company's also got big Shinra energy.
That is true. We were missing an ancient / Cetra type character, I guess.
Yeah.
There are a few NPCs still hanging around, but the ones that aren't robots kind of don't matter.
Yeah.
There's a few that are scavengers / just kind of trying to bring about more of the planet's revolt. They get a couple of lines of dialogue as you run into them and not much else. And it's the robots that have, much like Unsighted, have attained some level of sentience and are the ones who run shops and help you / have more quest lines as you see them throughout the adventure.
Yeah. And one of the robots at one point says that you're their only customer. I was like, there's other scavengers around. Do they just not spend money?
Maybe they're not getting the red flux, I believe is the currency.
Yeah.
Maybe they're looking for gold doubloons, and the robots just don't care about what they're actually getting. I don't know. It's weird. The robots also have their own like scavenging team to get stuff, but you're the only one who actually buys it.
Yeah, I guess continuing because we got a little distracted. So your search for Wendy leads you to the networked organism known as Hive, which I can only describe as a big heart that controls the biomechanical robot stuff.
It's the main AI that is still like controlling all of the corporate stuff that's still available or still active.
And then you have to go turn on the 3 switches, and then you get to the final confrontation, yada yada yada. It's always 3. Except when Ori ended it right at the 3rd one.
It's always 3, and sometimes there's a bit extra, or the 3rd one is it.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Nintendo really kind of laid the groundwork for rule of 3s. I think only Sonic bosses really went with 8, and that's just too much Metroidvania, I gotta say.
Though I guess Super Metroid is technically 4, right?
Oh yeah, there are 4 bosses. Yeah, weirdly, I don't consider bosses as important as like a weird MacGuffin / item. So
yeah, that's fair. I mean, but there's a statue that glows as you kill them.
yeah, but there are also additional bosses that don't glow that you also need to fight that I think are just as hard or harder than Ridley.
Or I guess we're managing to get distracted again. So over the course of this, you make friends with an AI who you don't actually talk to very much. I gotta say, it's so like you said, Moon cares about people, which is interesting because her reaction to this like virtual AI is like, no, I work alone, being the like gruff guy with a heart of gold.
Yep. Explicitly not getting emotionally invested is my most charitable read. For everything that I'm saying about what Moon is supposed to be and what is revealed later, it is very tell don't show.
Yeah.
Moon is kind of not a fun character.
I mean, she helps the little robot whose name I've already forgotten.
Blink?
Is that actually his name?
I'm pretty sure it's Blink who needs to find his courage. Yeah, there's not a lot, and what's there is explicitly just either she's gruff, does what is necessary, or in that one like NPC quest line, maybe a bit more personable.
Yeah.
There's not a lot, but that's probably for the best because, again, like in these kinds of stories, it's either you go really subtle or you hit them with a bunch of like 1-2 punches and then like back off. And this was definitely the second. We are explicit about what we mean, and then you're just going to play the game for a long time.
Speaking of those punches, the next big development in the plot comes. And I didn't really understand why they had you go to this chair to do it, but the reveal that I guess there's like somewhat of a misdirect of like interface with the network. And I was like, yeah, people could probably just do that in the future. No, apparently that means that you are a simulated person.
Yeah. So like this was already set up earlier where you have like your AI companion who it's revealed to be essentially a AI copy of your mom in a sense.
Yeah, way to be a dick to your mom.
The entire time, right? Or at the very least some aspect of her that became its own self-aware AI. And then you go to this chair and it's revealed that 12 years is a long time and there ain't no way your body survived that crash. So the entire time the suit you've been piloting that's been getting all of its abilities and upgrades and all that stuff and being able to get spark blood injected right into it to heal. No, it's just been piloted by your own AI copy of your consciousness that took 12 years to develop.
Yeah.
Oops.
Which like, I don't know. At some point you have to get into the like transhumanism of like what measure is an AI if they are pretty much indistinguishable from the real thing. I don't know.
Yeah, I definitely don't think that 4A Incorporated treated them that well. It's also revealed that all of the AI like robots you've been seeing are kind of splinters of your mom's personality again, that initial imprint they call, just kind of spread, and that's how they have self-awareness.
Yeah, it's weird that we've played 2 games where AI spontaneously gain quirky personalities.
Yep.
but I've got 2 nickels.
I got 2 nickels. It's weird it's happened twice, and it's also weird that I like both of them more than you like them.
I liked Unsighted. I mean, you loved Unsighted.
Yeah, and I'm definitely... Full disclosure, this isn't going to take top spot, but for whatever reason, it just... That kind of story just works for me, apparently.
Yeah, so to wrap things up for the plot synopsis, it turns out that the good doctor who you've been delivering brain scans to this entire time has set all of this up in order to get at your mom's actual body in stasis, because the doctor is also a fragment of your mom and wants to occupy the body. That part kind of lost me, I'm gonna be honest.
It's some sci-fi nonsense. I kind of liked it. Like, again, I wasn't taking this story too seriously, so when it started taking big swings like this, it was kind of like, finally, something's happening in the story.
I was like, if you could make Moon this suit thing, why didn't you just put yourself in a suit and leave?
Dr. Nara's lazy.
I mean, maybe that the reasoning there is like, oh, well, she needed the like actual DNA from the originator.
Maybe, or like some of the other AIs would not cotton to Inara's plans here. Maybe she needed a different agent. But this is some speculation on a story that has maybe 5 paragraphs total.
Yeah,
so
that's fair. Yeah, they turn into the big combination monster.
They combine with Hive, the planet security system. You and your mom have a plan that involves your mom biting it at the end.
Yeah, I don't know. That was the plot is not the reason that I'm sticking around. Oh, we forgot about that, and that's not important. The weird like fake out where it's like, oh yeah, and then we cut to several hours later, and it does a fake end scene, and then goes back and is like, wait, no, that was an implanted memory.
Yeah,
but I don't know. I felt it was kind of strange. The mom just being like, we did it. Oh, but the AI will always be in my body, so I'm gonna off myself now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, really? I don't know.
You gotta survive, Moon, even though you are also an AI in a robot suit. You can do some good. Bye forever. Yeah. I can't really defend this. I am already on record saying I like this game. I didn't much take the plot seriously, but when it started doing those fake out endings and like last minute reveals, I was like, it's the chewing popcorn kind of thing of, yeah, let's get stupid. And I enjoyed it.
Honestly, I had the dumbest reaction to the fake out ending, which was just like, oh, that's a game breaking bug.
Oh, you thought it was a mistake.
And then it was like, oh wait, okay, this is a fake out. I see. Interesting choice.
Oh no.
And yeah, at least for me, so I was playing on the Switch. I have no idea if this is like this on the other platforms. There were not many bugs and not any really game-breaking bugs, but there were definitely just like things missing.
Okay, you'll speak on that, because I only know of one that I ran into.
Well, in particular, the Sparkblood mines, the lava area.
Okay.
Some of the lava was just not there.
That didn't happen for me. I was playing on the Steam version.
Or rather, the lava was invisible. So I'd be like, huh, it seems like I should be able to stand here, but if I jump down there, I'm just gonna die. Oh, I guess that's supposed to be lava.
That's weird. That never happened to me.
Oh, it happened in several rooms.
Ooh, okay. Yeah, you also had a, like, your game time bugged out a bit there as well?
That's true. That one was just funny, in that it claimed that I played for 137 hours.
Wow, you really liked the game in that alternate universe.
And then the Switch knew the correct time. I bet that one's something about, like, using the wrong time for that and using, like, wall clock time instead of, like, a running sum of time played. And so, like, when I unsuspended the Switch, it was like, whoa, you've time traveled. I don't know.
It's a decent theory.
I mean, it only, like, made that big jump once. So I don't know what happened there.
Like, I didn't run into either of those things. The worst thing that happened to me is that there's this one boss who's a big wasp bug flying thing that some of its animations seem to, like, warp it around a bit. Like it would be flying and then all of a sudden it would teleport onto me. Wasn't that big of a deal. Still managed to beat the boss just fine. It was just janky in a way that was clearly unintended.
Yeah, I guess that, like, nothing was ever ruining it for me. Like, even the lava that wasn't there, it was fairly easy to figure out. It was just a pain with some of the things where I had to get really close to the lava to be like, I don't actually know where this line is. I'm just gonna slide down towards it and maybe I'll die.
Maybe you'll die, and what's the worst that can happen, right?
Yeah. Speaking of dying, I guess we can talk about...
Actually talk about what the... Okay, yeah. So, game, very similar to like a Space Hollow Knight / Environmental Station Alpha is also pretty similar in that your main weapon isn't so much a gun as it is a short range, like laser sword, like shotgun blast sword type thing.
Yeah.
Like it's essentially a melee weapon.
Yeah, I mean, older Metroids did that too, and then you got a long shot, and then it stopped mattering.
But this game never gives you a long shot. You
True.
get a bomb that goes further, or it's not so much a bomb as a grenade launcher.
Yeah.
And you also never get a double jump, which I maybe this is controversial, but I enjoy that.
There's a pseudo double jump.
In which are you saying is the pseudo?
There's a badge, or I forget what they're actually called in here, cores.
Oh, yeah. An augment?
Yeah, an augment that gives you a very small secondary jump.
I never used it.
Oh.
I had other things to keep on, and I had other ways to gain altitude.
Fair. Yeah, so the death mechanic, I guess one of the interesting things in this is that you can unequip some of the mechanics. I didn't mess around with the core mechanics unequipping as much as I maybe should have.
Yeah, when we get into augments, I'll talk about that, but yeah, death.
So the standard corpse run thing is that when you die, you will lock away one of your health pips, and then at the point where you retrieve it, you'll get that health pip back, and then you'll also get an additional temporary health pip when you retrieve it.
And if you don't want to retrieve it, you can spend a pittance of the currency to just immediately get that health pip back without the bonus HP.
Yeah. Interestingly, you can unequip that, and I actually didn't do this, but it sounded like if you unequip it, you will lose all of your money instead.
Yeah, bit of a trade-off, but obviously you're losing way more cash dying that way than if you were to just spend it to instantly retrieve it if you weren't going back to your corpse.
And interestingly, this game I did actually finish needing money. I did not have enough money to afford the last weapon upgrade. Although, probably if I went to the vendor who lets you sell your stuff that turned out not to be too important to sell to them, then I probably would be able to afford it.
Yeah. Okay. So those are like employee like logs / oil, some kind of like robot oil.
Yeah.
These are like optional like collectibles you can get. There are 3 places to spend the first one. If you trade one away to like these weird big purple robots, they'll give you a special ability. But outside of that, all these collectibles are to be sold. And I never use those special abilities, which all use the same resource as your health thing.
Yeah, it's funny how, because like this is very reminiscent of Hollow Knight, right? Of like, you've got soul, which can be used for healing, or it can be used to power special abilities. But in Hollow Knight, I mean, I still mostly used it for healing, but I feel like the using soul was pretty comfortable.
Yeah, it helps that like one of the soul uses is just like a very big fireball, very quick, long range combat thing.
In this, even once I had them, I just like did not use them.
Yeah, like to a certain extent, I think the ones they give you, which are like it is like essentially a laser beam, long range, but doesn't deal enough damage to make it feel worth it for when you like at max you have 4 pips or whatever of healing / ability. It's called Spark Blood.
Yeah.
4 vials of Spark Blood. But for most of the game, you'll have 1, maybe 2. And so spending a not insignificant amount of your stay alive juice is, the math doesn't really work out. And outside of that, you can also use it for, I believe, a bit of a jump. And then I can't remember the third one off the top of my head.
The third one is the reticle and then the explosion.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually tried to use it on one of the bosses, and it was like, oh, I can't actually move this reticle very far, and the boss just habitually moves out of my thing.
Yeah, combat is more geared towards, much like Hollow Knight, lots of movement, dashes, and whatnot. So staying still for a bit and then not doing enough damage to make it worth it, it's fine. Maybe I just didn't think about it enough to really figure it out, but I was having enough fun with the main mechanics anyway.
Yeah.
It was a buster duel.
I don't know, like, so the combat with the bosses, I actually kind of feel like I liked it better at the beginning of the game than at the end of the game. And it might have just been the weird way that I ended up going through the game, but I felt that I got too strong to care surprisingly quickly.
Like how many bosses, or like what was the threshold?
I think after the first of the 3 points, I was already too strong to really care about needing to learn patterns and try bosses multiple times. Now, that might be because I'm apparently awful at finding the critical path in this game. And I think I had something like 70% completion before I flipped any of those switches by accident.
Okay, I was similar. I don't think I felt the exact same, like, Samson-esque, like, unlimited power level that you did. Most of the bosses I still got in 1 or 2 tries, but they were, involved enough fun. I didn't feel like I was really just kind of styling on them.
Yeah, it was like definitely the end bosses, and then the I am forgetting the name that they used for the people in the computers.
Oh man. Those were like bonus bosses, essentially. They didn't actually end up contributing to anything.
I like when I saw them, I was like, "Oh, great, bonus bosses! These guys will be a challenge."
No,
and I don't know. I just had enough DACA that it didn't matter, and I was like, "Oh, okay." And then they didn't do anything. Like they didn't contribute to anything, right? Like they're very reminiscent to me of the like the soul bosses in Hollow Knight, but they don't contribute to anything, where in Hollow Knight there was a thing that they contribute to, even though they give a resource if you talk to their computer multiple times.
Yeah, it was weird. Like it feels like something that would have led to an alternate ending / some sort of augment even.
Yeah.
But
true final ending, absolute radiance version of Hive. I don't know.
Oh, if only. But instead, it was a thing that there's these weird things that you can't interact with, and they have like a particle effect and everything that you'll see throughout the map. And I kept putting down a marker on my map, like, okay, still don't know how to deal with these right yet. And it's like the very end before the final dungeon, or final boss, sorry, that you can actually finally do anything with it, and for it to just essentially be, bonus fight. They're all unique fights. Like, they feel like a Kickstarter reward of the very top level, design a boss kind of reward thing. I'm not sure if that's actually true or not, but it felt like it.
Yeah, I get the sentiment, but I also have not paid attention, even though I backed the Kickstarter. I don't know what the other reward tiers were.
Yeah, I saw your name, but it was the lowest tier available, I believe.
Yeah, what a scrub.
I know.
Only backing things at low tier.
Yeah. If you had backed it higher tier, you probably would have been more positive than me on it.
Yeah, I mean, you could take them on from the 2/3 point of the game, I guess, in that, like, you do 2 areas and then it tells you to go to the chair, and then once you've gone to the chair, you can fight them.
Yeah, I guess it depends on how much you've explored, because I definitely did all of the things up to the 3rd MacGuffin thing. So it was just sitting there after I did the chair for me to just kind of warp, do the thing, do the final boss, we're done.
Yeah.
So it felt like the last, like, 5% even of the game for me before I got the chair reveal.
That's fair. Even for me, like, it was a pretty short thing. I mean, I also, like, I went to the first place that I got to, which was down in the water area.
Ooh, you did that first.
Yeah, well, so I went, when I started the game, I went from Coral Fisher, I went upright to the overgrowth,
Okay.
and then promptly got stuck because you need abilities from the Sparkblood mines to get further in the overgrowth at some point, and then went down because I knew there were paths there,
Okay.
and then finally got the ability from the Sparkblood mines, and then was able to start completing them. I could have completed that one, except that was the one I was like, I don't know what I'm doing here. And it turned out because I did not know how to use what I'm going to call Shine Shark.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, it's kind of Shine Spark reminiscent, right? Like, it's
Yeah.
you build up speed, you land in the water, you turn into some kind of glowing torpedo shark thing with red, and then you need to launch yourself out of the water.
And you can get a lot of height with it.
And I don't know, this is one of those like, hey, we're being cute with a not really documented ability, just like the Shine Spark in Super Metroid.
Yeah, a thing that they do a couple of times, but yeah, it's a bit janky and I love it.
Yeah, I don't know. This one, like some of the other ones worked for me.
Yeah.
This one did not. You had to explain things to me, and I was just like, but my abilities don't do that. I don't know.
Yeah. So this is part of why I like this game, even though I do describe it as frustrating / like that's part of why I like it. The fact that it is not, it lets you get into trouble / expects you to get into trouble a little bit, and figuring out, oh, you need to gain like height or use an augment that I thought, oh, this seems useless. It just makes me fall faster. Oh, if I get that, then I can just jump and instantly gain Shine Shark. Thank you. I love that name. Speed basically anywhere, which is more or less required for an optional goodie later.
You know, I never thought about equipping that augment in order to get some of the things.
Yeah, the last like main upgrade that is like perpetual essentially is essentially charge beam that also lights things on fire.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it requires you to have that because you need to gain a lot of height in a way that you just have nothing to work with other than a shallow pool of water and ceiling full of spikes.
Is that over at the bottom right? Because I was at like 98% and did not know how to do some of the areas and was just like, whatever.
No, it's at the very top in the first area.
Oh, okay, yeah, that one too.
Yeah,
See?
it was that. The bottom right, I believe, requires shine sharking through like the tunnels, and it's very difficult and janky and frustrating. Love it. It took me more tries than any boss in the game.
There was definitely one that I ended up cheesing by just equipping the phase beam that goes through walls and the beam lengthener and shooting a switch from the other side.
Yeah.
Instead of doing the Shine Shark puzzle.
Yeah, there's enough things that like you can kind of like skirt around or make it more trouble than it's worth. Like there's an augment that you can equip that gives you like there's one that spawns bugs that will find out secrets but also like attack enemies.
Yeah.
As well as another one that's a like a little goat plant creature that'll attack things and they'll just absolutely destroy enemies that you're supposed to like bounce on to get to areas and they'll like screw you over.
That was a little frustrating having the thing that will help reveal hidden areas combined with, hey, I'm gonna screw over your platforming in some sections.
Or they'll activate these enemies that after you hit them will like torpedo themselves in the direction that they just got hit, but because the bugs kind of have an area of effect, it confuses them. So like the enemy that's going to explode and hurt you goes like crazy and it's hard to predict.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
Though they're able to kill some of the enemies that you can't hurt with anything else. At least in the Switch version they can.
I believe so, yeah.
Which is weird, but kind of convenient. And it was like, oh, okay, I could just let these guys do it. They also scale on the number of injectors you have.
Yeah, for every full injector, you'll spawn one bug. So using them all to heal is then also obliterating your ability to find secret areas or
Yeah.
bombable walls, whatever.
Which was kind of interesting.
Yeah, no, that's A plus. I like that game design. It's a very cheap augment to have, but then it has these other like non-obvious drawbacks.
Yeah, I don't know. I felt obligated to have them on and then just got frustrated every time I was trying to bounce places.
Well, just use your healing.
Well, what if I need to find a secret door on the other side of the place I just bounced to?
Then shoot a bunch of things to build up your soul / Sparkblood and get them back.
I know.
These are terrible options.
Part of this was me, like, because I went so strongly in the top right first, I spent a while trying to do sequence breaking,
Yeah.
like speedrun technique stuff and being like, this can't be what the right thing. This is so frustrating. In like being able to see a platform up there because I don't have the wall jump yet.
Yep.
And being like, oh, I can lure a flying enemy over here and bounce just right to get up there. It was awful. It was not fun.
Yeah, I loved it.
There was one case where I did it and then immediately fell down on the other side of a door. And it was like, oh god, now I have to lure that enemy back and do it again. I just gonna go somewhere else.
See, you're saying all of these things like they're bad. Like they're a problem and not a, yes, finally I can get into trouble in a real way. I can, because this is a game where you can bounce on enemies like Hollow Knight, shooting downward on them. Or like Metroid, your bomb will like kind of propel you up a bit if you time it right. Or once you get the ability to bounce, which is admittedly new and probably the signature move of this game. It's the thing I did the most of immediately Sonic bouncing in a ball. But if you do that on your bomb, which the game doesn't tell you, super jump. And you can get into trouble because the game doesn't really expect that except for a few optional goodies.
Yeah.
And I got the weapon upgrades before I was supposed to just by luring an enemy and weapon bouncing. I believe I got into a place that I literally could not get back out of with the bomb bounces and I think the Arboretum.
Yeah, I think I probably got into the same place and just had to use the suicide option.
Yeah, force respawn, spend my 50 smackers, get it back. Okay, clearly wasn't supposed to be there, but I got a bunch of useless goodies on the way and I felt great about it.
Yeah, but speaking of being able to pogo on things with the regular attack, before I got the bounce, I was like, oh, I know exactly what these guys who are walking in the water are. I saw those in Hollow Knight. And then I was like, oh man, the thing is really hard to do. Why is this so hard? Oh, well, I guess I'll just keep trying. I guess it's just very precise. No, I was supposed to go get the bounce.
Yeah, it's a creature with like a clearly different thing on its back. And you think like Hollow Knight had these things where you could sword bounce on them. But in this one, if you try and do that with your gun, you'll kill them. But also it's harder to like laterally move.
I was not killing them just enough to think that it was possible. It was like, okay, I could get 2 sets of the triple shot down on it. So if I'm able to do that and get as far as I can go on the jump and then dash, maybe I can get across. And it was close, but maybe someone better than me could actually do it.
Once I realized that they didn't respawn if I accidentally killed them, I kind of just committed to, until I need to, I'm assuming this is not the critical path.
Oh, they're one of the few enemies that actually respawn if you just go out a door and come back.
I, for whatever reason, didn't grok that, I guess. Or I'm just wrong, but that was a thing that I committed to early was, this seems too hard, so it must be not critical path. So I still tried it, obviously. But, one of the things that I do like is that if you allow yourself to do like the things that seem sequence breaky, you have a lot of options on where to go at the midpoint of this game. And I just, that was something I could really sink my teeth into.
Yeah, I guess that might be part of the difference in our opinions, where it's just like, I don't know, I felt like it gave me enough rope to hang myself, and I did. And then
Oh God.
when I finally got back on the critical path, I was like, oh, huh.
I just realized you made that metaphor, and now that means that I have the Metroidvania equivalent of autoerotic asphyxiation. And that's just no good. Oh my God.
Yeah, joke's on you, Hangman. I'm into this shit.
Yeah, okay. No, my opinions are not to be taken lightly.
But yeah, I don't know. Like, there are a few keys in this. There's the fuses.
Yeah, there's like 3 total.
Yeah, I was just using fuses as I reached places.
Oh.
Yeah, I was just like, oh, hey, here's a place that fuse could go. Why not? I'll use it. I think Dr. Inara is behind a fuse, isn't?
Oh, I think that was like the tutorial for it, or it's nearby. I thought there was only 3, maybe there's 4, and I just forgot that first one. But I used one, and I'm pretty sure it's an optional area, just for, bonus upgrades, goodies, augments, what have you. And then the other 2, I believe, are also just convenience. Like, I don't think you actually need any of them to beat the game.
I don't know. One of the fuses seemed like, it's funny because like at the time I was like, oh god, I'm really struggling to get past this boss, which turned out to be an optional boss.
It's the one in the like subway area, kind of.
Yeah, and then the critical path turned out to be through that fuse. I mean, maybe there was another way to get around there.
There is. That's how I got there. Like, listen, I was missing the fuse for that particular door for most of the game. I ran into that boss. Oh, he's too hard. I got plenty of other places to go. Definitely skirted around it. It got to the other side of that fuse door, to where the save point is that you'd want for a boss. Again, did not have the fuse for the longest time. It's definitely like, okay, well, it sure would be convenient, and I'm not going to fight this boss until I have the fuse, but I just didn't have it. And I also definitely did the bad end of that particular boss. It's like the one time it happens in the game, because of the difference between when I found him and when I actually beat him. There's an NPC of a big like mollusk type thing.
Yeah.
That says, "Please don't kill me." And I'm like, "Cool thing. You're not hostile. That's easy." Turns out halfway through the boss, he pops up and is a second boss that you have to fight at the same time. Completely forgot. Definitely destroyed him. Did not get whatever optional goodie he gets. Probably why I'm stuck at 99% in the game.
Womp womp. It's an augment, which I never actually equipped and used. I should have. It says that it gives you a blood copy when you pick up Lost Core.
Oh.
And I never actually tried it. Whoops.
Yeah, no, I didn't get that one. And the only way I beat that boss was equipping the one augment that transfers all of your gun upgrades to your bounce. And then I immediately, like, because this boss kept like spawning from below ground, as well as the new mollusk thing, which again, if I was less bloodthirsty on things that popped up below ground, maybe you would have survived. But it was a very silly way to... It was like Sonic Adventure 2 speedrun boss mode of just spamming that one move.
Yeah, I mean, they're bouncing around too, so...
Yeah, it's only fair, and otherwise there's so few like instances to get some good hits in on him.
Yeah, so at that point, I had forgotten the path into the Spark Blood Mines from the abandoned quarry that I needed the bounce for, but otherwise could have done it. So that was my, like, I think this is the way I'm supposed to go. This is the lead I have right now. And I found those areas very frustrating.
I was similar. Like I ran into that boss a couple of times from the non-obvious, or further away save point, and then just decided, like, I don't care if this is not critical path or not. I need some more upgrades. And then I got in trouble in the Arboretum. And then I finally remembered that exact path that you just talked about. It just being like tucked around the corner, just hall that I guess I could have gone through, but forgot.
Yeah.
I don't know. I enjoyed it. That was more an element of, yes, great, instead of fucking finally.
I mean, that boss was fun.
That boss was fun.
I didn't have a fuse, like you, I didn't have a fuse to use on that door for a while, and then got a little frustrated by it. But it turns out I was just going to the wrong places. I should have immediately beelined it left. I think there is, I don't know, it's a little weird when the progression spot in a game involves, okay, get an ability way on one side of the map and then go to the other one. This game has fast travel, so it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
But, like, there are some others. I can't think of anything right now, but, like, it would definitely be frustrating if you, like, get an ability, move a couple rooms forward, get a new ability over there, then you have to cross the map back to get another new ability kind of thing, right?
Yeah. Like, even with the fast travel, like, because you kind of are almost expected to get lost in this, I do think that, unlike Blasphemous, which we talked about last month, there's that catharsis of, oh, it's a lot easier to get through places. Like, oh, now I have the dash. Platforming is way easier. Now I've got the bounce, just clears back through enemies. Got the wall jump. Vertical height is now no longer an issue. Stuff like that. And when you're not sure where you need to go, I was back and forth through a lot of places multiple times. And while it's still kind of rote, like it's always going to be, it still had that element that I look for in these games of, okay, but it feels better, and it feels like it's almost like returning home. Like, I'm familiar with these areas. It's I don't have to worry, and I've got the next thing on my mind, and I don't have to worry about falling in a pit and dying and respawning. So
yeah,
it's a personal thing for me, I guess, at least.
I don't know. Actually, it was kind of funny. The abandoned quarry has like I was trying to log and guess what kind of ability I would need at every point, every time I encountered something that I couldn't traverse, which was hard. Also made hard by the fact that there's actually very limited number of map icons you can put on there.
Yeah, there's 4 different colors and a set number of each color.
Yeah, I maxed out my my colors at one point.
I maxed out 2 colors because I was trying to like differentiate what I was putting them down for. Like, oh, an NPC I don't know about, a goodie, or those weird screens.
Yeah, but I guess also, like, I was using it for every open room that was pretty reasonably, oh, that's an open room.
Oh yeah, I didn't, if on the map there's clearly like a connection that I didn't get through, I just kind of left that as, oh, I'll know what that means.
Yeah.
And then forgot what was actually stymieing there.
Yeah, but like in the abandoned quarry, all of the places required like all of the last abilities that you get, and I kept going back there and being like, when am I gonna get this ability?
Yeah, I know there's one that requires augments. There are a few interesting augments, but a couple of them are just for puzzle solving, like the hypergravity, or the one that lets you bounce off of projectiles. Bouncing off projectiles is, I guess, I don't know, maybe useful, but not worth the memory slots, I guess. But like, I kept thinking, like, it's a big shaft of things that shoot at you and spikes on both walls, and thinking, oh, clearly this is an obstacle course for space jump. You don't even get double jump, my dude.
Yeah.
It's just the one augment. But the augment system is clearly the same kind of thing as the medals of Hollow Knight, or...
I think they were called charms in Hollow Knight, but yeah.
Oh, charms in Hollow Knight, the chips in Haiku the Robot. This one, they massage it a bit, both in terms of there are different like amounts that each charm is worth. At max, you have 10 slots, but some are worth 1.5 or 1.75.
Yeah.
But you can also turn off your HUD for that extra 0.25, or you can turn off the ability to know where you are on the map if you need to greet out. I like that idea of, I didn't engage with it, but the option's always there.
I eked out a little bit on like bosses. I was like, I don't need the GPS.
That's fair. Yeah, if you're having trouble, or just needed that little extra bit to be like, okay, no, I want the ability that builds back spark blood faster, or gets me extra, or the ability to remote activate bombs, which just never got turned off for me.
Yeah, I took it off and then kept regretting it, and then wouldn't, for some reason, also wouldn't put it back on because my precious offense beam weapon offense stuff was too important to me, apparently.
Fair enough. Because it was my main way of getting around. Man, it was such a satisfying combination of shoot bomb down, bounce on it, go wherever. I just needed to always have it available. And so if I accidentally shot a bomb elsewhere, I didn't want to wait for it to go off on its own.
That's the most annoying thing about the bomb, is that you have to wait for it before you can spawn the next one.
Yeah. And like, even before you get the bounce, it does give you a bit of height. So you can use it to get like a bit extra areas early on, but really once you get the bounce, that's what the game is. And that's what really, I think, makes it different from Hollow Knight, which is that specific means of traversal and how the areas are laid out with that in mind. Ultimately made it so that it wasn't a Hollow Knight clone, and I didn't keep thinking about it, even though there are a lot of design decisions that are obviously very similar. In addition to that, there's the like, when you come into an area from behind, there's a thing you break that destroys a wall, and then, okay, now there's this shortcut that way. That was like everywhere in Hollow Knight. It's here too. That's cool.
I mean, that's just a good idea for game design, to be able to open up shortcuts.
That's the thing. People were complaining about it being too similar to Hollow Knight, but all the things it has are just good things to have. I don't know. It's weird, but it's definitely like a game that is better for it. If it tried to do something different with how it gets back its heal juice, I think it would be a worse game as well. Yeah, just go forward and shoot more stuff. Trying to get players to risk more is better than overvaluing the healing / mistake counter.
Yeah, it's interesting because like I kind of feel like it didn't feel that much like Hollow Knight in practice, even though the abilities on paper are very similar. I mean, one of the things is that Hollow Knight gives you the first spell very early on, and the spells are entirely optional in this game.
Yeah, you could theoretically sell all of the chips or whatever they're called.
The personnel data.
Which is explicitly like, okay, in case we need to really mess up the corp, give us all the information you have on them. And like, that's what those discs are. But you could theoretically just sell them all to the random NPC and then literally be unable to get these.
Yeah.
Which it did happen to me, kind of. Like, I sold all the things and then ran into a dude that wanted it. I'm like, oh no. I don't even know if there are anymore. And then there were like 20, so it was fine.
I ran into them the opposite direction. I was like, I'm not going to sell any of these because they might be needed for something else like that.
Turns out I probably should have just taken the money for how much use I got out of the skills, but, you know, whatever.
Yeah, well.
Also, I think I'm not sure where else I'm going to mention this, but this does have a lot of accessibility options. You can turn down the game speed, you can turn off stage hazards, give yourself a bunch of extra health. You can change the font from its weird like pixel font to an HD version, which doesn't fit thematically or as artistically, I guess, but is more readable.
Is it productivity software font?
It is productivity software font. It turns out Haiku was just accessibility mandatory, and fair play.
That's interesting. I don't know. I found a fair amount of the platforming just frustrating rather than fun. So I don't know, maybe I should have just flipped on some accessibility option.
Maybe, because you're wrong.
Some of this might be that I spent a long time struggling with just missing some of the tools.
Yeah, and to be clear, fun is the thing that happens in your brain. So I can't say that it was fun for me. The things that it did made my brain chemistry go, ooh, more of this, please. And unfortunately, you gotta, I don't know, you're just wired differently.
I don't know, some of it was just dumb. I remember one particular heart piece equivalent where you could approach it from either side, which is relatively rare in the game. I was approaching it from the side that I assumed that I had to do, and then I checked it later on the other side, and I was like, oh, that's actually way easier. But, it required you to do the big dash off of a wall that was very close to spikes, and I had not found the grip walls augment yet, which is way up in the Sparkblood mines.
Okay, yeah, because there's one of the major abilities, I can't believe I forgot to talk about it, is at will Shine Spark, not Shine Shark, Shine Spark.
I mean, to me, I think of it more as Crystal Dash, but I guess that is sort of at will Shine Spark.
There is an augment. Hey, another thing that is to leverage that mechanic is you can do it at any point in the air.
Yeah.
Instead of having to charge it on the ground, but it is very much the Hollow Knight Crystal Dash. But another non-documented ability is combine it with your wall jump to go then diagonally back and forth up the walls.
That actually really frustrated me. I only did it when I didn't want to.
Yeah, opposite. I discovered that it was a thing that could happen, and then immediately played around. Occasionally it would go off when I didn't want it to, but I always felt it was like my fault.
I don't know, every time that I was trying to then jump up to a ledge above me after having done it, I would dash diagonally into spikes. It's just like, why am I like this?
Well, I think that's something you should probably discuss with your therapist. Because I listen, union rules. I don't do anything that's not in my job description.
I see. Isn't this podcast free therapy for me? Isn't that what we've been doing the whole time?
I feel like I'm doing a very bad job in making you play games like, yeah, which one was mine? Banjo-Tooie? Ugh.
But yeah, I don't know, especially the Sparkblood mines with like the conveyor belts. At some point, I was just like, this isn't interesting hard. It's just jump on a thing and then get thrown into spikes. I don't know. Actually, my habit of always bomb jumping may have also contributed to this, in that like a bunch of the enemies that you can bounce on, I was getting very frustrated that they were in the way of my bomb bounces.
Gotcha. Yeah, you forgot what the actual mechanics were at that point.
Also, the bomb bounces are weirdly finicky.
Are they?
In that, like, you can move a few pixels and you will bounce beside your bomb instead of bouncing off of it and being launched up.
That was not a problem to me.
Oh, it happened to me very frequently, especially in the wind area. I mean, the wind area is somewhat understandable, where, like, you actually had to make sure to angle yourself more to land back onto it. But especially if you're trying to bounce off of an enemy and you've placed the bomb on the enemy and the enemy has moved slightly since you placed it, it was just, okay, I'm just bouncing off of the 20 pixels to the right of my bomb, which doesn't count. And then the bomb's going to go off and kill the enemy.
Yeah, that's why you got to have the
yeah, which
the
is
remote
non-remote bomb problem.
Not remote bomb problems, but also, yeah, this is not a problem that I had. I don't know what else to tell you. Like the wind area, yeah, occasionally I would whiff, but usually because I was doing it all in one swift motion, like I didn't have time to not hit the bomb, usually, from where I was.
I don't know, it happened a fair amount when trying to bomb off of enemies. Also, a random complaint here that doesn't really fit. Definitely overuses teleporting enemies.
There's one enemy that I think was a problem.
Is it the ones that look like beholders? Or like they're from Celeste?
They're like blue.
Are you talking about the blue ball spinning thing that kind of just appears out of nowhere?
No, they fired things at you and they took forever to kill.
Oh, the snowflakes.
Snowflakes, yeah.
I mean, they're not really snowflakes. They're like blue 4 crystal triangles or something.
They're spark blood solidified things. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Those are the enemies I found annoying, but also
yeah,
it was like the final area at that point for me, and it felt like enough of a challenge. I didn't feel like it was out of place. It was annoying, but it's supposed to be.
I don't know. I just found that it was a bit of a crutch they were getting into. Oh, hey, enemies are going to appear here that you couldn't have predicted were there, except in the, like, I want to be the guy way of, oh, if it looks clear, then there must be a hazard.
Huh. It's not a problem that came to me, I guess.
No, okay. I felt that in, like, half of the areas. Because, like, underwater, there's the fish that you can't see before they come out of the walls.
Yeah, no, I was killing them before they came out of the walls.
Oh, okay. Well, apparently you were just built better.
Or rather, I think my bugs were kind of just already hitting them. And then I'm just like, okay, they're coming out that way.
The like appearing blue ball pinwheel things.
Yeah, there are like 2 hallways that have them.
Purple tentacle monsters.
They spawn things. Oh yeah, they do warp around. I don't know. I didn't think of it as a crutch so much as, okay, this is just how enemies are. Like they're doing other things, like with the purple enemies, right? Because their main thing was their projectile then, after a beat, spawns a bunch of tentacles you need to be away from.
Yeah.
I guess I just didn't care enough about making sure they died to like chase them down.
They were a big frustration when you were taking the long way to the optional boss.
I did not keep taking the long way. When I beat the optional boss, I had finally unlocked the shortcut.
That's fair. But yeah, I don't know. It was just like, there were enough of them like that I was just like, oh, come on, man, get another shtick.
Oh, man. But getting new shticks is hard. Like, I mean, we've been doing our same, like, bunch of bits and whatnot, like our stack rank, which we do every episode.
Whoa.
We don't usually talk about it, But we like to rank every game that we've ever played in one long list, respective to each host.
Yep. Totally definitive.
Totally definitive, totally objective, even though there are two different ranks. One of them's definitely more definitive than the other. But we've got 34 games in each, and we're about to add the 35th. And I'm going to pass it over to you first.
You always do, and I never know what my number is. I have some things I'm looking at. I think I'm gonna go just above the Night Witch. It'll be the new 17. Why not?
Interesting. Yeah, yours is like right in the middle for Night Witch. This is right under Pseudo Regalia.
It wasn't bad. But like...
Yeah, you're right. It wasn't bad. It was the opposite. It's better than bad. It's good.
There was a bunch of time that I was frustrated by it. And like other times where it's just like, I don't know, this design just isn't working for me. It's kind of dumb. There was a point at the final boss where I was just like, oh, this is just the Soul Master from Hollow Knight. And like that comparison kind of ruined the final boss for me.
Oh no.
It was like, oh, now that I've noticed this, I can't unsee this.
I did not notice it, so yeah. My dumbass opinions make things a little weird.
Yeah, well, yeah. He appears above you and slams the ground, and you have to dodge the shockwaves of the slams. Then he puts 4 balls around him and travels across the screen as the balls rotate around, and you have to jump over the ball and attack them while they're doing that. And yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like I've just kind of... The teleport above and slam down, like, that's obviously like classic Hollow Knight, but that's also just bosses.
Yeah, I haven't even played Hollow Knight in years.
Yeah, last time and first time I played it was... for this podcast, almost 3 years ago.
Yeah, I didn't play it that time, so it's been even longer for me. But yeah, I don't know. It was just like, this felt like it wanted to be, to me, a better game, a more complete game, a game where plots went places, kind of. Because like people gave you key items, and I was like, oh great, I've got a key item. And then it seemingly never came up again. I was like, oh, is this like designs that were dropped on the floor? Or, I don't know.
You had some frustrated expectations in addition to the frustrated gameplay.
Yeah.
And you had an investment, admittedly humble investment, but...
Yeah, I mean, that's not super important. I try not to care either way.
No,
I just
I know.
treat it like buying a game a weird amount of time before I play it.
Yeah.
But... oh, actually, one of the dumbest complaints along these lines.
Yeah?
I hate that they gave the fast travel bot the ability to chat.
Oh, yeah.
But it never says anything different.
You can chat to him and it's just like, yep, I'm the fast travel, or like whatever he says, just like online. You want to go somewhere? There is no flavor. It is only the same thing. You can try chatting him in the different locations, never changes.
Yeah.
It's almost a bit, but it doesn't land as a joke. It is just kind of a cul-de-sac of an idea.
So that just kind of crystallized this idea of like, this developer has seen Hollow Knight and kind of knows how to make a game that's like it, but doesn't really understand what made Hollow Knight polished.
I think that's
right, in terms of like, this is another thing where I'm going to make a dumb direct comparison to Hollow Knight. This is exactly the stag stations, except you can actually talk to the stag and he'll give you a little bit of lore about the world.
But there is no lore about the world.
Instead, this robot just tells you that he's ready to take you through the artery.
Yeah, I think it's a little unfair to keep just...
Probably.
Like, listen, this is not as polished as Hollow Knight. I will grant you that. It is, in fact, not even going to be as high as Hollow Knight on my list. That's fine. I don't think it's useful to be like, this is just Hollow Knight, but worse. Like, I think there is, like, an actual, like, understanding of level design, and especially, like, what, me personally, what I appreciate about the style of game that I think it does get at. Like, I will often talk about the ability to get lost, even though I don't always. This time I did, and I did have a good time with it. That being said, much like you, this is going directly above Night Witch, except for me, this is the top 10. making it the new number 7, just under Castlevania Aria of Sorrow.
I forgot that you put the Night Witch in your top 10.
Listen, it is good for completely different reasons from this one, but again, like I'm really working backwards from, I know the amount of positive feelings I had for it and trying to then retroactively explain why. But I can't deny that whatever it was doing made the fun happen in my brain, or fun, like interest, whatever you want to call it. So yeah,
Fair.
that's my new number 7. Hollow Knight is still number 3, Unsighted number 1. At some point, we'll have a definitive list once at the end of this project, whenever that may be. But until then, that's been 35 games, and we need to add a 36th.
Yeah.
And I guess that falls to me, doesn't it?
It does.
So I've been thinking about this, right?
Mm-hmm.
We've done a lot of recent games,
Mm-hmm.
like hell, Absence of Light and Rebel Transmute are both from this year.
Yeah.
Blasphemous wasn't that long ago.
I think we've already beaten last year for playing games in the same year.
Yeah. So like I was thinking, like going back, we've done like the 80s and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought it'd be funnier to go the exact opposite direction and choose a game that's not even out yet.
What?
So what I'm proposing is for even when this episode is released, it will be a day away from when Animal Well comes out, and that's what I think our next game should be.
Animal Well.
Animal Well. It seems like an interesting puzzle Metroidvania platformer. It just looks like a very chunky pixel style art, minimal combat, maximal puzzle solving / a bunch of cute little critters. So yeah.
All right.
And minimal amount of opinions of others to sully the well before we get a hand on it. But yeah.
That's what you think.
Yeah, I know. You're going to read all the reviews as soon as it drops.
I mean, at least I definitely am a person who plays games very slowly compared to someone who's like looking forward to it and just plays it that day, right? Like it's doable for Metroidvanias. I'm apparently quite slow in that I think I clocked a total of 15 hours on this one.
Oh, I was 14 and a half, and
Oh.
usually there's a bit more of a gap, but
Yeah, huh. I'm getting faster.
yeah, and well, I'm kind of challenging you on this one.
And I thought that was a glacial pace.
Yeah, I definitely got lost more than I usually do in these games, so that again, completely opposite sections of that's positive for me, and you're like, ugh, it took forever.
Yeah, I don't know.
But if you can beat us in these times, make sure to tell us by emailing us at invertedcastlepodcast@gmail.com or on X/Twitter. I will die on this hill. At InvertedCastleP, never forget the P. Various other social medias obviously exist, various permutations of Inverted Castle and Inverted Castle Podcast. Also, YouTube. Apparently that's a thing. Regardless, I've been Eric Fox.
And I've been Thomas Blight.
And remember, kids, unionize or die. Those are your only choices.